official start now. Welcome everybody to our latest IFT British Section webinar. And today we'll be talking about consumer behaviors and factors affecting brand desirability. We're just going to go straight into Dr. Constantinos Pantidos from BRAND AVIATORS, and who's a specialist in how biology and neuroscience shape consumer behaviors and brand desirability. So Constantinos, over to you. And remember everyone to put your questions in the Q&A sessions, that we will come to that after the three presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bertrand, and thank you everyone for connecting today. We are going to discuss in the next 10 minutes or so about emotions and how we can make emotions work in practice, because we know that emotions are very important for any decision making. It's a large part of purchasing decisions, and we know through many different types of disciplines today that emotions actually play a larger role than what we had expected in the past. We don't need to talk a lot about this. Everyone knows how important emotions are, but in practice, as managers, we spend too much time on rationalizing about decisions. So talking about claims, USPs, recipes of products, and commercial subjects, like how many display stands we put in the supermarkets, etc., which of course are important. But I think in this way we are missing the point. We are missing the point because the largest part of any decision, as we said before, is unconscious. So why is this happening? Because as we know, emotions are abstract, evasive. We cannot capture them and put in products, in recipes, meaning, messaging, and communication, packaging, etc. Let alone combining or disaligning all these touch points so that the brand is consistent, because as we are going to see, consistency is very important for the brain, so that it classifies the brand and understands what exactly the consumer buys. So emotions are used, of course they are useful. They are used by the brain to screen out noise. They are useful because nature created emotions to help us take very quick decisions. And over time, of course, the needs of the human race changed, but still we need these emotions, of course, to take the decisions, including purchasing decisions. So we can say that the desirability of the brand is based on the brain's ability to recognize patterns. So when all the different touch points are aligned, the brain understands the job that it has done behind in aligning all these elements, not just the communication or the product, but also the social media messages and everything. First of all, by the brain categorizing itself is rewarding. So because it understands the brand, it likes this, and this is already important when we are, for instance, before of a supermarket rack or shelf or a screen where we buy things. So this is a very important slide, because it shows that unless the brand is very consistent, the brand cannot be classified, let's say, by the brain. And this is where the brain starts disengaged, becoming disengaged and starting comparing pricing and how many grams, size, colors, etc. Because these are more rational data. We can compare pricing, we can compare the sizes of the products or any rational aspect, as we said, because we don't control the unconscious. We don't understand how it works, not only for managers, but also it's the same for the consumers. But if a brand is focused on one type of emotion or emotive, as we call them in our company, then the brain automatically authenticates the brand. It says in very simple words, these guys are telling me the truth, because all the elements point to the same direction. So the quality inside must be good. And all this happens, you remember, in nanoseconds when we take a decision. And this is how the brain automates everything. The brain automates every decision because it's not lazy, but it wants to save energy. The brain takes up 25 to 30% of all calories we put in our organism. So it's a very expensive, let's say, muscle of the body. So the brain automates the decisions that are not so important. And of course, the decision to buy one brand instead of another at the supermarket is not so important for people who have to admit this. And this is how routines are created. Routines are created through this need for the brain to automate. But as we said again, how can we align everything so that the brand goes to one direction? So we have worked for many years, 11 years actually, to put together many different disciplines, and we came up with this tool. So it's very busy, but this is the brain, let's say, in a very simplified way. There are these 12 motives, and all emotions around humans come from these 12 motives. So the motives start by their biological root. They were useful. That's why they created, they have a locus, a place in our brain. The brain was developed by nature to drive behavior. So biology is important to understand the value, first of all these motives, and then to trigger them, we need neuroscience. So through neural activity, the emotions are, let's say, produced, and the emotions then penetrate our everyday life. That's why in the outer circle, we see some examples of global, of universal, let's say, values like independence for the motive to seek. We have diversity, dependence, agility. These are things we talk a lot nowadays in the organizations, but we see it's not something new. So the brain, the human brain has been developed because of these kind of 12 motives. And the motive to play, for instance, make us humans, because we were able to test things in safe situation, in a safe situation. The motive to seek help us find partners, food, of course, and this gives us excitement. And that's why we're triggered by knowing the unknown, what we cannot see. The motive to transform help us change. People, we don't like change because we want the comfort zone, which is this motive to feel safe. But we need to change because the environment changes. So the brain has mechanisms for change, for changing, like shifting systems, we call them mutation systems, etc. We have the motive to defy that goes against. This help us, of course, to go against threats, but also to build our own margin and live. We need to be creative because personality arises in this kind of way. So individuality becomes important. And we understand, as you probably know, that we are individuals after the 7th year of age. Up to that year, we believe in some way that we are part of our mother. We have the motive to grow, which is development, ambition, etc. We have the motive to control. These are more recent systems, let's say, the motive to control, the motive to transform, and the motive to balance, especially, because they are what we call the neocortex, very complex systems that help us govern our life, while the more animalistic motives, like the motive to seek or the motive to feel safe or the motive to play, are older. It took something like 500 million years for every motive in the brain to be developed. So we are wired to these things, and we cannot go against these motives. We have to align the branch. It's easier to align the branch and the products with these motives. The question is how we do so. So I'm going to give you a methodology we use in our company, which instead of asking consumers, at least in the first place, when we design the strategy, then we ask, of course, consumers to validate our strategy. But before that, because consumers cannot articulate these deep biological elements, we start by the facts in the brain. So we analyze the brand using biosemiotics, so it's semiotics informed by biology, let's say, all these tools that we have seen before. Then we align the product, or we study the product if it's already there, and we want to understand what is this brand about. The product is part of the brand, of course. And I have here the lemon example because it's easy to show, but this is a kind of new science that puts together the sensory science and psychology, or evolutionary psychology. So lemon is the perfect playful food or fruit. We have seen before the motive to play is one of the 12 motives. The yellow color characterizes this kind of motive. There is a citric acid inside, which for the brain is sharpness, invigoration. We know D-limonene, for instance, gives us an uplift, but also it energizes saliva, it opens up the appetite. Let's say lemon is acid. There is high concentration of protons, so the brain thinks this is something teasing. The color is bright, of course, and yellow, and it's juicy, and it's highly volatile, which means also for the brain a kind of superficiality, let's say, or spontaneity, let's say, in a better way. All of these, you see, they go to the same direction, because we can say this is not by chance. Humans created the lemon as it is today, because of course we had citruses, etc., but not lemons as such. So as we breed, let's say, the races of pets, by choosing which pet we like, and the other pets, because they are not like us, or they are a bit different, we don't like for some reason, then we breed fruits, we breed everything, food also, around the world. And then we start with the packaging, of course, the colors. Colors are also biological elements. You probably know the brain does not see the colors. There are no colors, actually. It is the way the light goes into the surfaces of things that colors are created and perceived by the brain. So also the straight line instead of a curve, the words, everything, nothing is without meaning, let's say, for the brain. Right now there is a chaos in marketing, because we have the agencies, we have marketing people, the owners, the top managers, etc., that have their own views of what they like and what they dislike. And this kind of tool we propose put some kind of order. Of course, it's not perfect. We don't claim that we know perfectly the brain, but it puts some type of order. And the good news is that it works every time. We work with many companies around the world, big companies like Mondelez, Nestle, etc. But I'm not here to advertise myself. It's just to show you that the tool works. And I'm going to also now discuss about not just for branding, because of course, obviously, this helps us to analyze the brand and the positioning, because this is the central element around which we align all the different touch points. Like products, we consider the product is a touch point for the consumer, and very, very important part of the experience, as it is probably the website, the packaging itself, that sometimes is the same as product. But we can use this kind of tools to create mood food. So we have created for the first time a series of sauces that have moods inside. And the moods are triggered by the colors, but the color of the product itself, the packaging, the concept, of course, and the texture. We work with ingredient to analyze textures, because textures also have an impact on the brain, on the flavor, etc., let alone the conditioning of all these things before even we try the product, condition our brain. We created the first neuropackaging with Owens, Illinois, the largest glass packaging in the world. In this way, we can use innovation to scan the markets and discover things that are, let's say, white space opportunities that are invisible to others, because all the competitors focus on the USPs we discuss and we try to see what product we can bring now in the market, what is the trend, as Edward very well explained. But behind this is something that is not changing even in 100 years or 500 years, etc. All of this now come with the personality tests that or mood tests that we can help marketing, of course, to sell the product. And this is the idea of the sauces that also we presented in IFT last year in Chicago, in Seattle, in Paris, etc. Last thing, applications. First of all, the monosemantic strategy for the brand, so that the brand knows itself, the DNA, the essence, and then we align all the flavors, textures, etc. We can produce new products. This sauces category didn't exist before at all, not just the products or the SKUs, the category didn't exist like this. And of course, enhance already important tools that the big companies have. We work with modelists, with Ingredient or in Illinois to analyze, to upgrade their tools. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Constantinos, for introducing you to this fascinating area.